Hello guys and welcome to another video. This is going to be a one-take video because I don't really want to edit anything. But here we have hopefully a 64 gigabyte RAM upgrade for Jarvis Server here. I got this kit of 64 gigs of DDR3 ECC for a whopping $25, and in this economy I figured I would risk possibly getting a kit that, you know, doesn't work or isn't compatible with this machine or whatever. 64 gigs for 25 bucks. That's a pretty crazy deal, especially in today's economy with the RAM crisis and all that. So let's get right into this and let's see if this was a well-spent 25 bucks or if it wasn't really that good of a buy. But hey, it's 25 bucks. Let's see what happens. Alright, first things first. Take off the side panel, and this here is Jarvis Server. Jarvis Server has been made from the old main server that this used to be. If you've been around the channel for a while, this was my main server machine for years. It was retired when Theme Park Server was built, and then 6 months later or so, got brought back when I decided I wanted to mess around with an AI server using Ollama and using a couple different AI models to choose from, and that's what this is. So, taking a look here, we have an 8-core 16-thread CPU, currently 32 gigs of DDR3 ECC. So yeah, 32 gigs of that. We have a GTX 1080 in here, 8 gig card. This might get swapped out with a 1070. Maybe it'll stay at 1080. I don't know. It might also have a P2200, P2000 thrown into it, something like that, into the other powered slot. This GPU uses the two 6-pins coming off of the power supply, and we just have that going from two 6-pins to a single 8-pin, which is how I got a card with an 8-pin in here. You know, if I, had an unlimited budget for this, more so, if I was willing to spend, $300, I would just get two P4000s, check them in here, run each one off on one of these, and then call it that. But I do not have that kind of money to spend on an AI server that I don't use a crazy amount, so just gonna go with this. And as I said, this might even get swapped out for a 1070 if I decide I want to use this GPU somewhere else. I need to get another GPU at some point, and so here we go. But yeah, GTX 1080, possibly another GPU down the line. 2.5 gig Ethernet NIC, because the bulk of my local network back here is 2.5 gig. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We have a hard drive here, and then two SSDs down in this pocket here. One SSD is for the operating system, the other SSD is to store and, to hold all the AI models, and then the hard drive holds an archive of everything that has been typed into the AI model, as well as its responses. And yeah, so let's get into the actual upgrade here. Now, it might be hard to look around the phone, so I think I'm actually going to adjust this real quick. Here we go, that is better. Alright, let's see what we got here. Yep, and these are just 8 gigabyte sticks of DDR3 ECC. There's one. Let's see if I can not launch it across the server. There's two. And just for a comparison between these two sticks, I wonder what chips these are. I'm not sure. I mean, obviously the one below is SK Hynix, but I'm not sure what the ones above are. I don't know. We'll see. And I've also never seen this brand of memory packaging a memory packager before, so no idea if it's any good at all. Because again, I haven't seen it. It could just be as simple as, like, you know, they're a server only company, or, you know, they only really do server hardware. Could just be that simple. I'm trying to figure out how to contort my fingers here. Alright, there we go, I got it. And again, these are just all identical sticks. Not too long after I got this server, I upgraded it from 16 gigs to 32 gigs. And yeah. And another reason why I'm doing this upgrade, honestly, is because I want to potentially use, and we'll go this bottom one here first. Maybe. I want to potentially use that 32 gig kit in a different computer. It is the Goblin Box 369. There we go. That server is going to get swapped out for other hardware that I have. I just need to get a motherboard and heatsink, which should be like, ooh, don't do that. Which should be like, I don't know, $100, $80, something like that, all said and done. Because I'm just gonna get one of the cheap Chinese motherboards. All it needs to do is like work and function. It doesn't need to do anything special. But I'm gonna use an old Xeon CPU. I'm gonna use that 32 gig kit of RAM. And yeah. Which is also why I need, well, it's one of the reasons I need another GPU, just in general. Because I want to upgrade the one that's in there. Okay. Alright, so that should be all 64 gigabytes. Let's see if this thing fires up. 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's see if it posts. Okay, alright. Hold on. Alright, there we go. Grab the keyboard here. Okay. Press F to continue, press F1. Change options, blah, blah, blah. Okay. F1. We'll see. I see Windows. 25 bucks. 25 bucks to upgrade this machine to 64 gigabytes of DDR3 ECC. As long as it doesn't crash. Is it loading or crashing? Uh-oh. It's loading. Heck yeah. Now we have this 32 gig kit to put into whatever else. Why are things all over the place? Interesting. It doesn't really matter. This machine does not, all this machine does is load, or handle AI. Performance. There's a Docker loading up. 4-core, 16-thread, 64 gigs of 1333, and I believe it is 1333, so don't think we need to change anything there. We have 3 drives, hard disk drive, SSD. That SSD is pegged, almost pegged. It's kind of pegged. Then, sorry, this one's the hard drive. This one is a solid state drive. Don't know why it's showing up as a hard drive. It's not a hard drive. But yeah. And we have our 2.5 gig and our GTX 1080. There we go. That SSD is calming down. And now this is basically just waiting for Docker to completely have started and everything like that. I just put in a time delay in the event that it took longer than usual. So once that timer runs out, it should start everything up. Is Olama active, or does this start Olama? Looks like Olama was active. That's Docker. That probably starts Olama. Actually, that makes sense that that starts Olama, because this is doing all the web service stuff over here. I am aware Windows 10 support has ended. I would like to catch this. There we go. And then once it's done, it should open up Brave with $64 gig available. Yeah, nice. Should show up. There we go. And once that loads, all right, give me 1 minute here. There we go. Alrighty. And now let's just type something like, you know, can you explain to me what NASCAR is? Right, okay, we're going to be using Olama 3 here. I'm not entirely sure how old the build is of Olama 3, but this server has been up for 3 or 4 months, so probably 3 months, somewhere around there. This is our GPU memory here, so once I press enter on this, that should start loading up with Olama 3 stuff. Yep, there we go. You can see that jumping up there. There we go. And I'm just going to Control C. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to let it finish its response, and then I'm going to change it to a different model here. I have several downloaded, including this one, which is pretty big. And that's the one I'm going to stress test the RAM on. Also curious, just because I haven't looked in a while. Oh, I need to go through and fix all this, looks like, which is fine. AI SSD. Oh, we still got 60 gigs free. Maybe 55. It's a good idea to keep like 10 gigabytes free or whatever, just in case. Because if an SSD gets too full or a hard drive gets too full, then you run into issues. Yeah, it's writing a fairly decent answer here. Alright, I'm going to let this finish doing its thing, and then we will swap models and see what happens. Alright, it has finished. Stop you guys from bobbing about. We're going to go all the way up to the massive one. I'm going to ask the same question, and you should see, because yeah, that immediately fills up, and now it's going to start swapping over to our system RAM here, and we're going to see that this is going to steadily increase up to 14 gigs. This is also just a decent way to like test the RAM and make sure that everything's working. We are steadily coming up, and we can also see that the SATA SSD here is maxed out on the read speed, probably, most likely. Yeah, we're reading 250 megabytes per second, and all of that is getting loaded up into RAM here. We're at 21 gigs. Is it a good idea to run, models off of the GPU? Yes, absolutely. It's going to make it significantly faster, but if I wanted to run a model that couldn't run off of the 8 gigabytes on the GPU, we have all of this RAM for it to chew on. And we can see that we're leveling out around 21 gigs here. Looks like it is still increasing, it looks like. We have stopped reading from the SSD. This is now thinking. We can even hit the teardown, or the drop down, and now we can see its thought process, which I always think is pretty cool. And if you have a faster CPU, like a CPU with a bunch more IPC, some more cores, etc., this process can go a lot faster. And here it's noticing that earlier in the conversation I asked the exact same thing. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. This is just a quick and simple upgrade video for Jarvis Server, as well as just showing you Jarvis Server, because I had never shown the YouTube channel about Jarvis Server. And yeah, now I have RAM for another project. This was a cheap RAM kit, and it seems to be fully functional. Haven't had a single issue yet. So yeah, very happy, very satisfied with this. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you in the next one. Have a good one, guys.